Jerry Rhome? Are you serious? This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the December 28th, 2023 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair, having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. Happy to be here today. It's weird. I broadcasted on Tuesday and I broadcasted on Thursday, and my intention was to broadcast yesterday. My wife's still recovering from her issues. You guys know all about that from the auto accident and such. But wanted to go on yesterday and talk stuff. But we're here today, so we're going to talk Rams, Giants, talk around the NFL. You got the Russell Wilson stuff, and I want to mention somebody named Jerry Rhome. Very important in the back half of the show when we talk a little bit about Rams history, and it might not necessarily be what Jerry Rhome did. It's who Jerry Rhome was. And so we'll get into that real quick here. But first, opening, I'm looking forward to tonight's Thursday night game, the Jets and Browns. Now, I know people are saying, no one needs to watch that game. Now, I want to watch it. It's an NFL game. You get a chance to watch an NFL game, you should enjoy it. And I just can't shake, seeing Joe Flacco in that brown jerseys. Jersey, not the white brown jersey, but the brown jersey, wearing number 15. I keep thinking of Mike Phipps. And Mike Phipps was this guy that is so typical Cleveland, right? First iteration or second iteration after Modell left the colors and the name and the history and went to Baltimore. But Mike Phipps is the guy they made this big deal for. They sent Paul Warfield to the Dolphins, and we know it worked out there for him. 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 Super Bowl wins, Hall of Fame guy. So they could draft Mike Phipps, and Mike Phipps just never, ever developed. In fact, if Bill Nelson, the former USC quarterback, if his knees had held out, he probably never would have lost his starting job to Mike Phipps. And Phipps was this guy that they kept waiting for. And it's just so much like the Browns, right? When you get to Tim Couch, I don't even want to mention Brandon Weeden and Colt McCoy and Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield. I'm happy for Mayfield now, but there's always something going on with the Browns. And then you think about the Browns and the move they made to bring in Deshaun Watson. And this team actually absolutely could look dangerous in the postseason. I don't know if they're going to win it all, but if their defense is healthy and Flacco has a run like he did in 2012, wow, the Browns might do something that no one ever thought they could have done. So I'm excited about that. But this is Rams talk, so let's talk a little bit about Rams. Towards the end of the show on Tuesday, there was a push. There was a push to talk about Sebastian Joseph Day, and our good friend Steve Ramirez pointed it out to us as we were going off the air that Sebastian Joseph Day had signed with the 49ers. And I shared that I liked him when he was here, but he really didn't do anything for the Bolts. He got that second contract thanks to Brandon Staley, but he didn't do much with them. And I don't know how you put a guy out on the street that fast unless, he's just not a guy you want around anymore. So the Rams let him walk after the Super Bowl season. And then last year, the Rams let Greg Gaines walk, right? Gaines was the guy that replaced Joseph Day, and he played better, played in the Super Bowl, but he left, and he's in Tampa Bay, and he's not even starting for the Buccaneers, not even starting for them. A'Shawn Robinson, he had his best game for the Rams probably in the Super Bowl. This season with the Giants has 0 sacks, and he's been below average against the run. And he's playing next to Dexter Lawrence. I mean, they should be better, right? But all three of these guys, they played with Aaron Donald. They got second contracts because they played next to Aaron Donald. And while they all had their moments, none of them are playing as well as Kobe Turner is right now. Kobe Turner has 8 sacks. Byron Young has 6. But, even Gaines and Robinson and Sebastian Day, Joseph Sebastian Day, they never really developed to this level. I mean, I'm not saying Kobe Turner is the next best thing, but he's a lot better than those guys. And I didn't see any room. You want to take snaps away from Kobe Turner? Do you want to take snaps away from Bobby Brown right now and give the extra money to Day? I don't think so. And, the 49ers are desperate. It kind of lets me know that Eric Armstead's injury, Hargrave, there's some shoring up they need to do up there. And so they made another move, spent more money to try to get it right. And to me, it speaks of maybe just some nervousness in Frisco, which is marvelous, right? Okay, getting ready for yesterday's show, I heard an argument from someone saying that Kobe Durant is too small to play boundary corner. As someone who grew up with Rod Perry and Pat Thomas, when the league was far more physical, to me it sounded like somebody who never watched football when they said that. Kobe Durant runs. They're listing him at 5'11", 180, right? Darius Williams, now currently one of the top corners in the league, the former Ram that they let walk after 2021. They couldn't afford him. Darius Williams is playing at 5'9", 187, right? I think we're trying to figure out excuses for why the Saints scored that touchdown on Thursday night. They scored the touchdown because it was pass interference on the offense, right? It wasn't because Kobe Durant was undersized, right? Even if you want to knock him down to 5'10", 170, then I'm going to knock down Darius Williams to 5'8", 175, okay? Let's not get crazy about the size of our corners here. Let's get a little more crazy about their technique and what they do, and especially on that play where people are looking for some room to criticize Kobe Durant. No, he's a boundary corner, much more than I think he is a slot corner. We found our slot guy, our star, and that's Quentin Lake. And hopefully he continues to develop and stays healthy. Playoff picture, we've talked about this. Rams win, Seahawks lose, Rams are in, right? Rams win, Vikes and Pack tie, Rams are in. And that all gets settled right now, gets settled this weekend. The big games, Falcons at the Bears. We want to root for the Bears in that one. Buccaneers and the Saints. I think the Saints are done. I think the Buccaneers are going to get their 9th win and eliminate the Saints. Saints aren't too much of a threat to the Rams, but let's get them out of the picture. Let the Buccaneers secure the NFC South and move on from there. Steelers are going to Seattle, and I don't want to bet against Pete Carroll because they keep finding a way. They've been hanging by a thread for close to a month now, and they're still here. And so we need the Steelers to win, right? We want the Steelers to win. If they don't, the Seahawks are still alive, and the Rams fortunately have the advantage. We beat the Seahawks twice, but you want to lock up this position. I want the playoff spot locked up before we go to Frisco, right? And then that leads us to the next most important one here is Vikings-Packers, and that's in Minnesota, and the Packers are trying to stay alive and knock the Vikings out. Packers, of course, got the advantage of the Brett Rippon game, and so that puts the Rams in a little awkward spot. We don't want the Packers near us. We don't want the Packers winning out and have the Rams have to win in Frisco on January the 7th. So this one's critical here. And the most interesting thing about that, and I got it down here in my around the NFL and other places, is Jair Alexander. Jair Alexander, their top corner, he got into a little bit of a crazy thing with the coin flip last week, and they've benched him here. They've benched him in week 17 going against Justin Jefferson and the Minnesota Vikings. That's not a good sign. Maybe it's a good move for the culture of your team Going into 2024, all right, you've got control. No one's going to hold you hostage. Good job. But not to have him out there, and you got Justin Jefferson rounding back into shape. And you saw the catches Jefferson was making last week against the Lions. That's not a good sign. So good for the Vikings. Take advantage of it and beat Green Bay. Another section here around the NFL and other places, this is where I was going to start, was Russell Wilson getting benched. That came out on Tuesday. We started talking about that briefly. And people said, well, it's all about the money. When 39 million are involved, finances do drive decisions. And then there was the leak, I think came out yesterday, that the team wanted him to redo his contract. And I don't know about that. That seems like the players union would step in there. A contract's a contract, and you can't threaten a player. So I don't know how that information, where it came from. It came from the Washington Post, but I don't know where they got their sources from. Some people are saying that Russell Wilson's people were sharing that. But I think the Broncos would be smart enough to know you can't threaten a player to change their contract. I don't know. Either way, even though Wilson's stats are solid, I just don't like him as a quarterback anymore. I just don't. I didn't like the way, as a Super Bowl winning, twice Super Bowl appearing, future Hall of Fame quarterback, I don't like the way he was so passive when Sean Payton got into his grill. I talked about this 2 weeks ago, when Sean Payton got into his grill in Detroit. Right or wrong, a leader is going to push back, right? And my coach comes into my face, and I've got that kind of cred. I got that kind of stuff in my balance sheet. Super Bowl, twice Super Bowl winning, appearing quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and on top of that, Hall of Fame career. I think I'm going to take a step forward. And if he wants to dress me down privately, he can. But if he wants me to lead the team, he's not going to talk to me that way. He's just not. I think we've all been in positions in our workplaces where someone's trying to get in our grill. And if you don't step up, it's not about being disrespectful. Every football player gets yelled at. Yeah, every football player gets yelled at. That's a true statement. Even I get yelled at as a pastor. Well, not as much as I used to, but you get yelled at. And it's how you react, because you still got to lead the people around you. And Wilson, to me, if he was a leader, he's not any longer. Therefore, I wouldn't want him as my quarterback. And here's the thing. I don't know anyone's going to trade for him, right? And who would he sign with? That one's really interesting. His cap hit next year is $35 million, and then it only gets started from there. In 2025, he's 55 rocks. In 2026, he's 58 rocks, then 53, then 54 rocks in following years after that. If they release him this spring, all right, if they release him this spring, the Broncos will be on the hook for $85 million of dead cap money. $85 million in dead cap money. You tell me how you work around that. This is why, because the Spanoses are in charge of the Chargers, okay? And the Chiefs, are having their own cap issues. They got to find some receivers and find some more talent to put in around Mahomes. This is why there's room for the Raiders here. So I would stick with Antonio Pierce. This is why probably 10 or 11 wins next year gives you a playoff spot, if not a division title in the AFC West. And there's a lot of flux. And I don't know how Denver gets around that salary cap stuff. I mean, you always make the magic work, right? But Denver's going to be hurting. Kareem Jackson was waived by the Broncos, re-signed by the Texans, who drafted him way back in 2010. This guy's long in the tooth, but he's still a guy that's a great football player, and he's aggressive. And I think some of his hits have been reputation, not hits, his suspensions have been reputation suspensions. He's physical. Sometimes he crosses the line. So anytime he's close to casting a shadow on a receiver, they're going to throw a flag and look for a reason to fine him. But this guy's a football player, and that was a good move by DeMeco Ryans, bringing him back to Houston after they cut him loose. Talking about coaches on the chopping block, we know Carolina, Vegas, the Bolts, all those spots are open. Be interesting to see how this plays out. I'd be interested to hear who you think gets fired. On the Patriots, I'm moving on from Belichick, Saints from Dennis Allen, and of course the Taxskins from Ron Rivera. There could be surprises. And those surprises would be Mike Tomlin, Mike McCarthy. And I'm not sure where to put Matt Eberflus. The team is still playing for him. I just don't think they got the right quarterback there. Okay. All right, cool. I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, and I was a sports writer for 21 years. Awesome. We got questions. We got an audience. My background is I wrote sports for 21 years, was one of the founding members at Mid-Valley Sports, wrote for several newspapers, websites, and everything. I left Mid-Valley Sports a few years ago. Those guys, Tim and Dwayne, are still in the room. They guard they cover the Chargers, and I get to do RamView thanks to our sponsors like Kistler Law and Temple City Auto Repair. And believe me, when you have questions, Kistler Law, I know what I'm talking about. Give them a buzz if you've been injured in an auto accident. I do this, I do RamView, and I write books. My books are on Amazon, and you can check them out there. Just type in Joe Terosian. I've written a couple of high school football novels. They were well received, did well. Check them out. Let me know what you think. And that would be awesome to have that connection with you. I do RamView because it supports me in my day job. I pastor a small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene. You can find us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, and as well as burbankfaithvirtual.com and all those other places across social media. So cool. Let's answer some questions here. 49ers injuries are building up. Bill says that. Bill, you're absolutely right. Did we not talk about this a few months ago? That this is because they play such a physical brand of football that their injuries are mounting up. And yeah, won't it be marvelous? I hate the Cowboys, but can you just imagine the level of pain in the Bay Area? They went out and got Trae Young. They went out and signed Randy Gregory, right? You know, they've made all the big moves, and now they picked up Sebastian Joseph Day and just trying to fill in all the gaps. But Trent Williams, growing injury. His backup was it Jalen Moore, concussion. Aaron Banks, toe. These are along the front line. And then I brought it up in the last show. Did anyone else notice Deebo Samuel returning kicks? Why on earth would you have Deebo Samuel returning kicks at this stage in the season? 100 of those, 105 out of 100 kicks go out of the end zone. But would you want to take the chance of him returning a kick? I just don't get it. I don't get it. Samuel's been susceptible to injuries, and yeah, I don't think they could risk losing him right now. Something to keep an eye on with the 49ers, I'm wondering, is Kyle Shanahan just a more fancier version of Chuck Knox, Marty Schottenheimer, and Ron Rivera? Anyway, something to think about. Good question, Bill. Tim Powers, I'd take Gaines back. He had a lot of heart. Yeah, the heart question. Yeah, he had a lot of heart. Mid-round pick in 2019, worked his way into the lineup, got a second contract because he plays next to Aaron Donald. I like Greg Gaines too. And if you remember earlier this year, there was talk, not from me, I picked it up someplace else, that this was like a sabbatical year for Greg Gaines, that he would go to Tampa Bay, play there for a year, and the Rams salary cap stuff got worked out. He would come back this next year, but he's not even starting in Tampa Bay. I know you like Mr. Powers. I know you like Greg Gaines. We'll just slot him in that all heart category with Johnny Munt and all those guys, right? Okay. Mark Reber, really think the Steelers can win against the Seabirds? Mason Rudolph, right? That's the key, right? Here's the funny thing. Can I just get something from Steeler fan Rob in Missouri, who's always honking for the Steelers? They kept Mason Rudolph on the bench all year. They buried him as the number 3 quarterback. What if Mason Rudolph goes in and lights up Seattle? Seattle's had its injuries. I mean, you're talking about heart. They're playing with a lot of heart right now. What if he does? What if he goes in and keeps Pittsburgh's playoff hopes alive? They improve to 9-7, and he lights up the scoreboard in Seattle. Maybe somebody should have a talk with Mike Tomlin, right? Somebody should have a talk with somebody in that organization, because they gave money to keep Trubisky, right? And you buried this guy for 3/4 of the season. I do think there is a chance, but I am leaning Seattle. I hope you're right, Mark. I hope you're right. Bill, who would you like back? Robinson or Gaines or Sebastian Joseph Day? Right now, none of them. Right now, none of them. I don't want any of them back. What I want to see is Bobby Brown improve. That's what I want most of all. I want to see Bobby Brown improve. I just want to see him be that guy for another year. Maybe he gets a second contract. We don't know. But I want to see him be that run stuffer. But I just think Robinson is too spotty. Gaines is all heart. And, sooner or later you get pressed down. You can't do it. And it makes me nervous that they were so quick to cut Sebastian Joseph Day across the hall at SoFi so quickly after Staley left, right? And so, yeah, to answer that, Bill, I know Tim Powers said Gaines. I wouldn't want any of them back right now. I don't want anything interrupting with snaps for Kobe Turner, Bobby Brown, even Jonah Williams right now. Tim Burns just saying hello. Got to miss the show live today. Horns 38, Giants 10. Absolutely. I'll take that. Mr. Burns, keeping you in thought and your wife in prayer today. Okay. Geez nuts. Frisco seems desperate trying to make these moves. Rams are scaring everybody. Absolutely. Great point. They are scaring teams right now. It's one thing to think Frisco's put all their eggs in this 2023 basket, right? That's one thing. But to think that basket could be overturned by a Ram team that experts were saying would win 3 to 5 games, and to think that a Ram team could possibly, I'm not saying they will, do that up in Levi Stadium. Oh my goodness. It reminds me of a soccer game I won at Potrero Heights grade school back when I was a kid, and we weren't supposed to win the game, and we had to race to our coach's Vega, and 10 of us piled into that thing. It was all illegal how we were all piled in, and rocks and stuff were being thrown at the Vega as we were driving away to our side of town. And I'll never forget that because we did something we weren't supposed to do. They would absolutely be apoplectic in Frisco or in Santa Clara if something like that happened, geez nuts. Yeah, and it's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I will say it's possible. Dwayne Barker, okay. If Gaines has a lot of heart, tell him to get off the porch. Oh, yeah, okay. If, he needs to get off the porch, okay. You tell that to Mr. Powers. Mark Reber, you're talking about Mason's been hot. Are you talking about Mason Crosby? That's going to be kind of scary, huh? You hope something bad doesn't happen and it comes down to Mason Crosby kicking a 50-yard field goal against the Rams on New Year's Eve, right? That's something to think about. What's your guess on Stafford playing for a few more years? If he looks this way and he stays upright, yeah, why not 2024 and 2025? Especially, and I'll say it this way. Mark. The Rams window reopens, right? The Rams window is reopening. And because the window is reopening, I'm talking about a Super Bowl window, Kevin Dotson is likely to be, I would think they would try to re-sign him and just lock up that part of the line of scrimmage, because I think the Rams are going to be looking at themselves with a full complement of draft picks, 10 total, and cap space that they're going to view that their window is open. And so, hey, if Stafford's upright, I know it might sound like recency bias, but I've been crazy about Stafford since 2021. And honestly, I was sold on the no-look pass to Kupp in the Super Bowl, even after it happened. And the more you contemplate the magnitude of the moment, that this guy is nails. And if he's just upright, man, yeah, I could see at least another 2 years out of him going from there. Let's see here. Bill, it's supposed to be windy on Sunday. Do we go for it on fourth downs? I want to pound the ball. In fact, that was my prediction, or my thing I was going to share today. I'd love to see the Rams just pound the ball. Last time I saw the weather was 42 degrees, partially sunny, and maybe winds. Yeah, you wouldn't want to depend on that, right? You wouldn't want to depend on it coming down to anything with the kicking game. And so that's what I see there. Yeah, I think the Rams will go for it on fourth down. I think they proved it against the Saints on Thursday. They're in this game for keeps. They're close. They're very close to playing with all house money. That anything they do, they've already won this season. They're that close. They beat the Giants, and everything's gravy, and they can just let it all hang out, and no one's going to think anything bad about this team. Geez nuts. I like the D-line we got, but wish we could add an in rusher to complement Byron Young. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Geez nuts. Totally, absolutely, 100%. They need another edge presence there. And Young is slowed down, right? He's slowed down after the first half of the season. And so you're hoping he's going to catch a second wind here. Teams have adjusted to him. But with all that said, the Rams need another edge guy. They do. I think if all the momentum and everything was as it is now, and if you could restart the clock and say the Rams were with a winning record, going towards the trade deadline. If the trade deadline was approaching, I think the Rams would make a move for another edge rusher. And I think in the end, that's what's going to close down the season. The fact that they don't have that other edge rusher. That's what's going to close down this season. And I know it's really important. Tim Powers, Munt will flourish in Hawkinson's absence. Yes, I hope he does flourish. I hope he does. And I want to see you with a Johnny Munt jersey next time. All right. As long as he can flourish this week against the Packers, okay, do the Rams, maybe Kevin O'Connell and all those former Rams can do the Rams a solid. Let's see. Mark Reber, no Rudolph, the quarterback. I'm sorry. Rudolph is the quarterback, right? Mason. Oh, okay. You were asking about Mason Rudolph. Yeah. Mason played great. He played great. Forgive me about that, Mark. Yeah, Mason's played great. And I think they got a shot in Seattle, but I am leaning towards Seattle. Geez nuts. I agree. Stafford can give us, this is from Geez nuts. I agree. Stafford can give us a few more years if the O-line keeps playing the way they are. Yeah. And they stay committed. They stay committed to the run, right? As long as they stay committed to the run. And we know sometimes how McVay is. A quarterback and receiver and all that stuff. It's like shiny new toys on Christmas. He's going to play with it, and probably overdo it a little bit. And as long as someone is there like a Kyron Williams that says, bro, let's pound the ball. And such. Oh, Bill, you're putting me on the spot here because I'm a huge Don Klosterman fan. Who's better, Don Klosterman or Snead? I am going to lean Klosterman for now. I'm going to lean Klosterman just a little bit because, I'm going to lean Klosterman, but Snead is getting there. I don't want to say anything that's going to deter from Don Klosterman, who should already be in the Hall of Fame and stuff. That one puts me on the spot. Counterfeit Clone. What a way to see the new year with the Rams win on Sunday. Oh, wouldn't that just be marvelous, right? To be 9-7 on January 1st. Totally agree, Counterfeit Clone. Okay. Steeler fan Rob in Missouri has chimed in. Steelers are 4-1 in their division and 2-0 out west this year. We got this. Steeler fan Rob, I will do whatever you need to get done. You pull out this win, okay? This is it, Steeler fan Rob. You win this game in Seattle, okay? You win this game in Seattle, and and the Rams win in New York, and the Rams lock up the playoffs, Steeler fan Rob. I will send you a copy of my book. There we go. I will send you a copy of my book, Tangent Dreams, very well received. And I'll send you a free copy autographed if you can produce a victory for the Rams in Seattle. I'll even send you a Kistler Law mug to add to it. If you can get the Steelers a victory in Seattle this Sunday, I will send you those things. And then, but it's contingent on the Rams winning in New York. If the Rams don't win in New York, I'm going to be so angry. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be friends with you anymore. Okay, there we go. I think we got it. Cool. All right, guys, let's keep moving here. That was a great question section. If you guys have any more, throw them at me, and we'll talk about it together. Okay, as of right now, I talked about this. The Rams have 10 picks in next year's draft. 4 of those are compensatory picks. They also have a pick in every round, including 3 in the 6th and 2 in the 7th. So we touched on this. As of right now, they're projected to have the 21st overall pick, which if just following normal logic, 32 teams, that means they would be drafting around 53 and 84th in the second and third round. So that's 3 picks in the top 100. So because of who Mick Snead, or just Les Snead is, he works with McVay very well. That's why we call him Mick Snead. Can't you see them, if the draft pick is in the mid-20s, can't you see them moving back to maybe add 2 more picks and possibly gain 5 selections in the first 100? I could see something like that happening. It would be nice. And it'd be so ironic, right? Ram fans are all excited seeing a first-round pick for the first time since 2016. And then, no, they don't. They deal it out for a second round and a third round or something like that, But just something to think about. Finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame came out. 15 names. There's no Don Klosterman. There's no Steven Jackson. There's no London Fletcher, which I'm not too happy about. But there is Torrey Holt and 15 names: the former Eagle defensive back Eric Allen, Jared Allen, the edge rusher, Willie Anderson, the former tackle at the Bengals, Jari Evans with the Saints, Dwight Freeney, defensive end for the Colts, Antonio Gates, Rodney Harrison, Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, the receiver with the Texans, Julius Peppers, Fred Taylor. Jacksonville had a great career, just no one saw it. Reggie Wayne, Patrick Willis, and Darren Woodson. If you were going to ask me just off this list who gets in automatically, Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates feels like an automatic. I think Devin Hester should be an automatic. The guy I'm kind of going back and forth on, but I do like him a lot, even though he was a Cowboy, is Darren Woodson. He was a great safety. And of course, Torrey Holt, right? Let's get Torrey Holt in the Hall of Fame. The senior finalists are Randy Gradishar, Steve McMichael, and Art Powell. Gradishar should have been in before Robert Brazil. I don't know how Robert Brazil got in there from the Oilers ahead of Randy Gradishar, but Randy Gradishar should go in. Steve McMichael was really good. I'd have to go back and look at it. So was Art Powell. But I'm thinking in terms of McMichael, he's an 85 Bear, which they have the same level of status as all those 70 Steelers defensive players. And unfortunately, he's suffering from Lou Gehrig's right now. And I don't know. You throw all that stuff to the side. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. He might be Hall of Very Good. But with the ALS and everything else and the fact that he's an 85 Bear, I could see him getting in. But my vote would be for Randy Gradishar. Also, I saw on Twitter post that said, who'd you take as a running back? Would you take Walter Payton or Marshall Faulk? And I think I got some people mad at me because I said Marshall Faulk. I like Walter Payton. Walter Payton's great, but you know what? There's a lot of things that Marshall Faulk did. He blocked, he caught, and he ran. And the one thing that I think puts Marshall Faulk just a little bit over the top, he's a home run hitter. He had blazing speed where Gradishar did not have blazing speed, where Walter Payton had good speed. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel. That's what I would do. I would go with Marshall Faulk. All right, moving on here. Injuries still. No injury update as of this posting. Trey Tomlinson and Joe Noteboom are on the team's injury report. Noteboom remains questionable. Tomlinson with his hamstring is unlikely. Okay. Giants-Rams. Rams lead the series 29-17 overall. That includes both teams being 1-1 in the postseason. If you remember those postseason games, 1984 was the game where Robinson gave the ball to Dwayne Crutchfield down low in Anaheim Stadium, down inside the 10, and he got stopped, and everyone was saying, why didn't you give it to Dickerson? And the Rams lost 16-13. That was a wild card game. And then, of course, the 1989 game played January of 1990, Flipper Anderson and the sudden death catch, right? That was a great day in New York. And this included a pair of Mike Lansford field goals in the fourth quarter that sent the game into OT. Check it for me, but it might very well have been played on January the 7th, which that is, I think, the day the Rams play the 49ers as of right now. That game, Everett threw for 315 yards, Elliott for 125 yards, and Anderson had 2 catches for 2 touchdowns for 50 yards. Great game. That was a fun game to watch. Most recent Rams played them in 2021. Stafford and company beat them 38-11. So we'll go with Tim Burns' 38-10 prediction. Giants will be starting Tyrod Taylor. He's a former NFL quarterback. Well, no, he's not a former NFL quarterback. He's a former starting NFL quarterback. So you have to respect him. He can play. A little more dangerous than Tommy DeVito. The keys to the Giants: Dexter Lawrence, groin. Ashawn Robinson is hurt. Their punter is a mess. Saquon Barkley, Adoree Jackson, Justin Pugh, Wan'Dale Robinson, John Michael Schmitz, Darren Waller, they all have issues, and they even lost right tackle Evan Neal recently for the rest of the season. So this team is it's wide open to be battered, right? The key is Dexter Lawrence, and it's not his groin, it's his hamstring. And people talk about Kayvon Thibodeau, and I didn't like Thibodeau at Oregon. Now, he's registered 13 sacks this year, but when you see who they came against, 8 of them have come against Washington twice, the Jets, and New England, right? He scored no sacks against Dallas, Buffalo, or Philly. So in the big games against the big teams, he hasn't registered too much. Kayvon Thibodeau, I'm not a big, huge fan on him. I talked about the weather unless it's changed. I just want the Rams to pound the ball. The offensive line is healthy. There's depth at running back. Pound the ball. Keep Stafford upright. Get in there and win this game. And you're hoping it's not going to be a trap game. You're hoping they're not going to get stuck on, oh, no, we got the 49ers next week, and we'll just blow out the Giants. Now, you can't do that. Brian Daboll is a good coach. He just doesn't have the pieces this year. Okay, so tonight, Jets-Browns. We're going to go with Cleveland. Lions-Cowboys. I can't root for the Cowboys. I'm going for the Lions. Let's go, Lions. Beat those pokes down. Dolphins-Ravens should be really interesting. I think I'm going to go with Baltimore in this one at home. Patriots-Bills. We're going with Buffalo. Falcons-Bears. We're going with Atlanta. Titans-Texans. We're going with Houston and Jonathan E. We're going Raiders-Colts. We're going to go with the Colts. Panthers-Jaguars. Going with the Jags. Rams-Giants. Of course, we're going with the Rams. Cardinals-Eagles. Buccaneers-Saints. We're going with the Buccaneers. 49ers are at the Texans. Now, here's the good news about that game. Texans are awful. We know they're bad, right? But there's still some doubt about home field advantage and getting that bye in the NFC. Right now, you have the Lions, the Eagles, and the 49ers are all 11-4, right? And the 49ers might need this game, but they're coming off a game where everyone's banged up. The Texans would be the game to let everybody rest and cruise and win this game. Also, here's the other problem is Purdy looked kind of shooken up. They need to rebuild his confidence going into the playoffs and, of course, Week 18 against the Rams. And so they got to take this game seriously. And I hope they do, and I hope they get roughed up some more. I hope the Texans can at least be physical. When we used to play when I was in high school, if you can't beat them, at least knock somebody down. That was basketball. This is football. You get to knock somebody down for free. And so Texans, if you can't beat them, knock somebody down when Frisco shows up, right? Steelers-Seahawks. Steeler fan Rob, I told you, you get a book and you get Kistler Law cup mug for free sent to you if Mason Rudolph can get that victory over the Seahawks for us. Chargers-Broncos. Sean Payton needs to win that game, right? Sean Payton needs to win that game, and the Chargers are playing because we're going to show everybody how good we were after Brandon Staley left. That one's going to be interesting. I think I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Denver. I'm going to go with Denver at home. Bengals Chiefs. Chiefs need to win that game. Bengals are flailing. The Browning rifle is kind of faded. Okay, on this date in Rams history. Okay, this is the story of Jerry Rhome. On this date in 1998, the Rams fired Jerry Rhome as their OC, as their offensive coordinator. He'd worked 2 years with Dick Vermeil, and it just wasn't happening, right? Rhome had been a backup quarterback for the Rams in 1971, came into the league in the early 60s, had some great years at Tulsa with the Cowboys. He bounced around, was never really a starting quarterback. He threw like 11 or 10 passes for the Rams in 1971. I think he threw a touchdown pass to Bob Klein and stuff. So he had been hired by Vermeil in January of 97. And after 2 years of running the offense with Tony Banks, Rams canned him. So what's the big deal? Why is that such a big deal? Well, here's what happened. Dick Vermeil canned Jerry Rhome, and he brought in Mike Martz. Mike Martz and the greatest show on turf was born literally in 1999, one season later. Martz had been an assistant coach with the Rams in the early 90s with Chuck Knox. He'd been a quarterback coach, a wide receivers coach, coached Isaac Bruce in his first big season as a receiver. And then he went to Washington as a quarterback coach. And who's the guy that broke out there in Washington under Mike Martz? Trent Green. Martz comes back to the Rams in 99, and the big signing of Trent Green occurs. The Rams make the deal for Marshall Faulk, and suddenly everything's in place for this greatest show on turf. And then you know the rest of the story. And it's interesting that it happened on the 28th because we talked about it on Tuesday. December 26th was the anniversary of the Rams signing Kurt Warner. They didn't even know they had the Hall of Fame quarterback they wanted for 2 seasons. And then Trent Green goes down in that awful injury, and Kurt Warner is born. Really, really interesting stuff. On this date in 2021, the Rams released long snapper Carson Tinker from the practice squad, and he is now currently our long snapper. In 1980, Rams lost a wild card game in Dallas, 34-13. The headline in the Herald Examiner was "Final Walkout." And that was a weird season in 1980. The first year in Anaheim, the Rams drafted Johnny Johnson, gave him a big fat, not John Johnson III, the original Johnny Johnson out of Texas, and gave him a fat contract, and all the veterans, I think it was Brooks, Youngblood, Jack Youngblood. I don't know if Dreyer walked out. I think Jack Reynolds did. Bob Brzezinski walked out. And then about 9 games into the season, Brzezinski walked out again, never came back. George Andrews filled his spot and that Ram team. That's when Ferragamo had a great year. And then the Rams ended up in Dallas in the wild card game. It was close in the first half, and then Dallas broke it open. I remember that game very well. And then on this day in 1986, the Rams lost in Washington in a wild card playoff game, 19-7. And this was an interesting game because this was a game I remember Ram fans not being so uptight about. And usually we all get uptight about everything. And I don't even think I was as uptight as I usually get. And I think it was because there was belief the team had finally found its quarterback. In 86, they had made the big move to draft Jim Everett. And it was like this optimism that we got a quarterback now. We got Henry Ellard, right? And then on top of that, we've got Eric Dickerson. The Rams in the game hung around. It was 13-0 at the half. Dickerson fumbled 3 times. Rams had 6 turnovers. Dickerson ran for 158 yards. Their only touchdown was a 12-yard touchdown pass to Kevin House. And Kevin House, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. But there was just optimism about the Rams going forward. In 87 was the players' strike. That season got derailed. Dickerson got traded. And then we had the Zampese offense in 88, 89. And that's when everything seemed to be on an upswing. Also, I will also say the Rams picked up Pete Holohan. There. Mr. Powers, if you want a tight end with hands, go to Pete Holohan, right? Another interesting thing about the Rams, in the Super Bowl era, the Rams have played 5 times on December 28th. That's this day. 5 times, all on the road, and they've lost all the games. They lost in Dallas in the playoff game. They lost in Washington in the playoff game. In 2003, they lost in Detroit. 2008, they lost in Atlanta. In 2014, they lost in Seattle. There we go. All right. I think we got it all in there.
It was a stone groove, my man.
It was a stone groove. That's right. Absolutely. Okay, let's see what we got. Steeler fan Rob agrees to the deal. You got it, man. You got it. Agree to the deal. You got it. You win that game, the gear is yours. All right. Taylor could be in trouble. Which Taylor, Tim? Are you talking about Zach Taylor in Cincy? Is that who you're talking about? Geez nuts. Crazy how we went from F them picks to clearinghouse, drafting extremely well in the late rounds, And here we are about to make the playoffs and really maybe the only team that can beat the 49ers. Yeah. G-Nuts, I know you guys know this, but the part that's always troubled me about the 2022 season is everything fell apart because the offensive line suffered such a catastrophic season that in the Super Bowl era that has never happened in NFL history. Literally, you're bringing guys in from Home Depot and the police academy to fill out your line, and then everybody goes down. It was unprecedented, and so people were saying, well, they had that F them picks era, and now the bill comes due. Well, no, the bill didn't come due. I remember last spring, I was saying the window was still open, that I hope they don't trade Jalen Ramsey. I hope they don't do this. I still think there's opportunity for this team because all the parts on the offensive line would have been there, and you still could have drafted Avila. All this still could have worked. But, they read it different. And one of the things that makes it work is they hit on those later round draft picks that, you go to, you're a Ram fan, you're not even watching. Well, you're watching, but you're looking at, when you get your draft guide, you're looking at all the picks after 100. Who could possibly be there for them to pick? But it's a testament and a great argument for the whole McSnead regime on how good they are. Just really, really good, right? And I think someone pointed it out on Rams House or Rams Rule. They pointed out that the compensatory pick we used to draft Puka Nacua came from Sebastian Joseph Day signing with the Chargers, right? Love those comp picks. Got to love those comp picks. Mark Reber, did you watch that Kurt Warner movie? Great movie. It will make you proud to be a Rams fan. I did. That's not me being snarky. It's just my sinus cough here. I did. I hate football movies most of the part because I just don't like what they do with the action. But it was a pretty good movie. But I think what I like about that movie. Well, I wish it would have gone a little more into his faith. But one thing I do like is it just shows the character of Kurt Warner. Right. I'm sorry he didn't play in Los Angeles. I don't disown the people in St. Louis. I don't disown what happened in St. Louis. And because we don't do that, we still get to enjoy Marshall Faulk and players like Kurt Warner. Tim Powers, give Steeler fan Rob a Taylor Swift calendar. I think he's already got one, right? Doesn't he already have one? Right? He's always been a Taylor Swift fan. Give Steeler fan Rob a draft guide. Yes, he needs one. Kevin House, former Ram by Bill. Yeah. So cool. Hey guys, I think we did it. I think we got through. I appreciate you staying with me through close to a 50-minute show. I try to keep this at 40, but there's so much to talk about that, it just keeps me going. But we're talking Rams football. One of the things that comes up again that people have asked me, Joe, get a partner and you guys can banter back. And the truth is, I've worked with partners before and I really don't want one right now. I do one show with somebody, that's cool. But if I'm doing this with somebody in the room with me, then I'm not doing this with you. And this feels like we're talking Ram talk, right? And it's us talking instead of other people. So thanks for your comments. If you guys get a chance, lay some comments down later. Just want to build up in the algorithm and stuff. And hit the share button, like, subscribe, tell your friends to subscribe, and go check us out on Spotify and try to build us up over there. Richard Ramos, great show. Thanks. Oh, man, great show. Thanks for Ram knowledge. Go Rams. Geez, nuts. Great show. Great content. Guys, you flatter me. Thank you so much. I've never lost at Trivial Pursuit. And so, I used to study the back of football cards forever, and now it looks like it's paying off. There we go. Richard Ramos, Geez Nuts, guys. Thank you so much. Bill, Mr. Powers, Steeler fan Rob, Counterfeit Clone, all you guys, Tim Burns, Mark Reiber, Dwayne Barker, everyone. Thank you so much for clicking on, and we're going to get out of here, and we're going to go enjoy some football tonight. We're going to go watch Joe Flacco beat Mike Phipps. God bless. Take care. We'll see you soon.